Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales. I am Johanna Lundström, the author of several sewing books, including Fit for Knits and Sewing Jeans. I also run a YouTube channel and sell sewing patterns under the brand name The Last Stitch.
And my name is Malena Hjerpe, and I work as a freelance pattern maker, and I also sell my own PDF pattern under the name Hazelhen Patterns.
And today's episode is the final episode of 2024. Woohoo! Yes, we made it to the end. We began recording this podcast in February of this year, and this is actually also the 40th episode. So we thought it would be fun to do a bit of reflection and looking back on our year before and after we started this podcast, because as if you listen loyally, I should say, you know that it's been quite a journey for both Malena and I, and trying to figure out this sewing business and navigating all our ambitions with the realities of having to have other jobs to sustain ourselves, and the struggles of time and all these other things. So Malena, what is your feeling now when you're looking back on this year of 2024?
It's actually good. It's a good feeling, and I think it's important that everybody does this, because you realize how much you actually have accomplished. Hopefully, in 1 year, when you work every day, every week, you don't, or at least I should speak for myself. I don't feel like I accomplished so much. It's not going fast enough. But then when you look at it as a whole year, it's like, okay, but you actually have done quite a lot. So that I think it's just fun to see what you have actually done. And of course, for some people, maybe you haven't done anything this year because you haven't had the health with you and other things, and that's totally fine as well. So be kind to yourself, whatever the result is. But I think it's good to do a recap every now and then it's also easier to know how to move forward. What should you focus on? What you want to do? So I'm looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, the same as I, and it, as you said, Malena, things happen, and we are very open about that on this podcast. We're not trying to pretend that all our grand plans are actually happening. Some might never happen, and some will be very much delayed. And also the fact that there's always a cost of pushing yourself as well. I mean, of course you could say, oh, I've done all these things, but at what cost, right? And I think that goes both to personal lives and professional lives. That, of course, if you sit in the beginning of the year and you have all these ambitions you want to do, you want to start work out, you want to eat more healthy, you want to spend more time with your friends, you want to have a cleaner house or whatever, you want to sew all this stuff. Well, it's good to have ambitions. I definitely think it's very important to be kind to yourself, because the reality will hit in sooner or later, and that's what you have to deal with, not the fantasies of making a list. And as you say, health can happen. And also I should say to listeners, if my voice sounds a little bit different, it's because of course health does happen. Ironically, yeah, I just catch a cold now, so we're recording these probably in the last minute before I go AWOL, what do you say, for a couple of days now. So I just wanted to record this before I completely lost my voice and we couldn't do this episode. Just speaking about, best laid plans, it doesn't always happen the way that, we intended to.
No, life happens, and that's important to also remember to have margins in whatever you are planning or doing, because things will happen. You catching a cold, your kids will get sick, things happen.
Yeah, that's probably the message. Be kind to yourself, and definitely don't feel bad about yourself if you haven't accomplished things. But hopefully, at least you will have seen, looking back, and there will be things in your life that you are very grateful for, regardless if they are more, how shall I say, they could be also internal stuff. I think how you feel about yourself and all these kind of things as well. I think that's also important, and not just look at the outer stuff, or the surface stuff, which is kind of easy, I think, again, to focus on, even though we're definitely going to talk about the kind of stuff, because we also run businesses, so we have to think about that stuff as well. But Malena, I would say of the two people, I think you're on a very different spot, right, than you were a year ago. Could you tell us a little bit about the backstory, which I don't think you have actually shared with the listeners, right?
No, we haven't. I mean, I haven't talked about it here, and I haven't really. I don't think I've mentioned it at all on Instagram either, just because I was very uncertain of what to do, how to do, and how to move forward. But this year has actually been a little bit of a comeback year for me, because last year, the whole 2023, I was actually, thinking of changing direction in my work life, and I went back to school and started to study. Now I should have looked up the correct English word for it. Carpenter, like
construction worker with carpeting.
Construction worker. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Like building houses, basically. And the reason why this change was, a backstory to the backstory. 2 years ago, almost. Even further backstory now. I always for me, when it comes to work, stable, steady income is so important. I've never dreamt of being a freelancer and living this life. That has never been a dream of mine. So when we moved up here to Umeå, it was kind of this is what you have to do to be able to continue working with this. So I was very reluctant to starting my own business, but I did that anyway. And as a freelancer, things go up and down, and I was, during COVID, for example, everything just completely shut down, basically. There was no work at all. I got so lucky during COVID, just from a financial point of view. I was actually pregnant when it started. I was 6 months pregnant or something, when everything when shit hit the fan, basically. So I went on maternity leave when all the businesses shut it down and were we don't have any work right now. And I was on a maternity leave for basically one year. I dodged a bullet there. I got so lucky that I was on maternity leave, because here in Sweden we have really great maternity leaves, and you still can have an income then and everything. So I got really lucky, but it scared me. It's so fragile, this business, and especially I have one big client, and if I can't get work from there, it's risky. Then COVID ended or faded out, and we got back to work again, and things just became normal again. But then I don't know, do you call it recession?
Recession, yeah.
It kind of, a few years after the COVID, it was tough in the fashion industry. I think a lot of companies were okay, we need to hit the brake right now. So again, the jobs were there were basically no jobs, and I was I can't do this. I can't live from short project to short. I want to have a steady income or a steady job. I can't do this freelance work anymore. It really it hit me hard. So I then basically Googled, okay, what are occupation here where I live that are lacking? Where are they? Where is people needed? And of course a lot of healthcare and those kind of work, but it's not my thing. But then there were actually construction workers within building houses. I was interesting. I'm already building patterns for clothes, and I love practical work, physical work, where you work with your hands, craftsy work, basically. So it's how different is it to build a house? I'm really that's something that could be really, really interesting. So yeah, I applied to a school like for grown-ups basically that want to go back and
retrain
retrain
to a new
exactly.
profession. Yeah.
Exactly. So I did that for 1 year, and during the whole time I was like, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life, or what do I want to do when I grow up? And at the end of that year, work started to come, like freelance work started to come back again. So it's like, should I, like, I was so like, which direction should I go? But there are some great benefits with being a freelancer. I can work from home with small kids. That's amazing. Being able to be flexible with your time and how and where you work. And also, I mean, I love doing this, so it's not that I don't want to work with it, it's just the amount of work that was the issue. And it's also just like so much easier to plan your own life, like with, again, small kids and family, and the flexibility is great when you are a freelancer. And when you are a construction worker, I mean, you don't even control where you work. It depends on where a house is built. So it could be 1 hour commute from here, or it could be 15 minutes. I don't know, and I can't control that. And you have to be physically there, like literally impossible to do remote work when it comes to those kind of jobs. So that was a big factor. Like, and also, the feeling when you're like, I know pattern making, like this is what I've been doing for 16 years. I went to school 4 years for it. Like, I know this. And to start from bottom level again, just with the knowledge, like I can't figure things out for myself. I'm so dependent on asking somebody else, like, how should I do this, and train up your skills. It's fun to learn new stuff, but it's also so frustrating when you are not able to do it yourself. Yeah. So that was also, I was so reluctant to, like, I know what kind of journey, like skill-wise, I have to go through to be able to master it again. Like, you never master it, but still being like confident in your skills. So that was also like, do I really want to do it or not? But freelance work started coming back. So here I am. Still continue to do freelance work. And I mean, I haven't shut the door of being a construction worker, but it's plan B. Let's just put it like that. It's not what I aim to do, but it's a plan B. So we'll see. So that, it has been a long story, huge change for me. Yeah, it's like I've gone back to basically what I was doing before. I had a little bit of a gap year last year, which is also, I mean, I don't regret doing it. It also gives me another appreciation to actually what I'm doing, what I'm able to do, the freelance work, like pros and cons, but like the pros are great. I do really enjoy them, and I do want to continue with them. So it gives me more fire to actually like trying to make this work, like really, So that was my little shift last year, and now I'm back again. Yeah, it's a full circle moment, right? You went from pattern maker to construction worker, going back to pattern maker within 2 years, right? Yeah. It was a very short, because the training you did, it was just 1 year, right? It was a course that you took last year, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, and on this level, it's like after this year, you would still have to go as lärling, trainee, right? Trainee or something. Trainee, exactly. Trainee, right? Yeah, like of course. Before you're like 3 years certified, like a exactly. Yeah. So there's. It's a longer process, like in total, but the actual school was just for 1 year, so it was like intense course, basically. So yeah, but again, feels like I dodged a little bullet there when the business was, fashion business was a little bit like not on pause, but slow down a little
bit. It was struggling. There were a lot of uncertainties, and we are still facing a lot of uncertainties. And we should also say that what happened was that the building sector had been on a very steady climb up for many years here in Sweden. We have, built lots of new, accommodations. I mean, both living and, offices and everything. There's a lot like infrastructure developments going on in Sweden. So a lot of cities are very expensive. So it's been a great working situation for the construction sector for, I think, definitely. At least 10 years or even more. So on the surface level, it seemed like a safe bet. But what happened was that, with the inflation and the rising interest rates and, the recession, so one of the first sectors that are being hit is construction, because those new projects are put on pause because you have to wait out and see. It's going to be more expensive. So the timing was interesting, because about the time when you had finished your course, that was also where the construction sector took a downturn, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But the fashion,
so like the stable jobs, like no.
There are no stable. I mean, of course, some jobs are more stable. I mean, such as in healthcare and things like that. But for sure, it's very you cannot be like certain on the bet that you are placing for sure. And the interesting thing that then you were like getting a lot of offers for freelance work again in the fashion business, so that kind of didn't hit as hard those things you never know. And I should also say that, I mean, I'm very impressed that you were so proactive, because it could have been a year of panic for you, right, where you can sit at home and trying to like figure out what to do. And by doing this, I guess, even though it was a big change, and I'm sure it was struggle in many ways, it was also a way perhaps of calming your nerves, because you were proactive. You were not just sitting home and, biting your nails and worrying about the future. Instead, you really took charge of your future in that sense.
Yeah, and there are lots of learnings I've taken from this whole, situation as well. Like, first of all, like a financial lesson, or I always knew this, but even like stronger now. You need to have margin, you need to have buffer, you need to have savings, basically. I mean, within my company. So if I don't have work for a certain amount of time, I can still take out a salary, for example. Like that kind of it's so important to have that kind of a margin financially. And also, I mean, during that gap year, then I did have some freelance work, so it wasn't like completely cut off. And I think, I mean, looking back, like I would have, again, I don't regret doing what I did, but I need to learn to have a little bit more easy magen, chill, like
chill, I get it, not panic, right?
Not panic, exactly. Like I think I would have managed that year, financially, and I mean I would have been focusing on my own patterns, so I wouldn't have been, without jobs. I would have found things to do, but not panic so much, because I did of course also have already a buffer, like savings in my company, so I would have been able to survive on those. And since I did have a little bit of freelance work anyway also, so if things get tough again, wait a little bit before run into a new direction and panic. And also, I mean, I'm very lucky in this sense. I also have a husband, and I mean, he has a steady income. So it's not, it would be a completely different story if I was a single parent with kids and everything relied on me. Then I would maybe take completely different decisions. But now I'm not. I have the luxury of we are actually two persons in this family who has incomes. So I don't need to panic. But 6 years into having my own business, I'm still like trying to learn this, like, okay, stay calm, don't panic, you got this, chill.
Yeah. But I should also throw in the fact that hindsight is always 20/20, right? So it's easy to say this now, but I think it also, I totally agree with you. It's so easy to panic, but also the fact that you were proactive probably helped you to calm those nerves in a bit, because there's no way, we're not fortune tellers, so there's no way when we maybe be confident in like, things could change, but the problem is we don't know when and how. So these kind of uncertainties is quite easy to say, afterwards, okay, I should have waited, but that's because now the things worked out. So I'm just trying to say that, it's easy to be calm, 1 year later when you have all the facts on the table. But I mean,
and who knows, I think it's very understandable.
So I think your decision was very understandable, and I still think it was a way of dealing with it that could be helpful, and it could have also provided another option for you in case the complete plug of the fashion industry just was pulled out of it. Who knows? I mean, we're still working with so many uncertainties, and but that's what is a reoccurring theme in this podcast, that you have to, as you say, you have to be prepared for lots of different things. There is no like straightforward success staircase where you just climb higher and higher and higher. I mean, sometimes you take steps back, and we live in uncertain times, and that's the way of you being a human being, right? I mean, even though we are living in a very rich and privileged country, and still, but we still have to deal with uncertainties as well, because it's also a country where the cost of living is very high. So the base salary that you have to get each month is pretty high. I mean, just to be able to like afford housing and eating and all the stuff, even though we have healthcare and things like that subsidized by taxes, still, it's very, very hard in Sweden to live on a small salary, to be honest. It's kind of tricky. You have to make a decent amount of trying to feel financially secure, even though we have a good healthcare and welfare society.
And I mean, I haven't talked about this because it's not that I've been hiding it. It's just that, when you're not certain, like, which way do I want to go, I want to talk about it afterwards, like, okay, now I know I want to go this direction. But I still want to be open about it, like, this is the reality of freelance work. There is no safety, there is no security.
There is no safety.
No.
It's very, very true. And I've also freelanced in my days off and on, and I've always been very relieved when I've had been able to get a steady job in my sector. But of course, then sometimes I get the itch to be a freelance, because it's always, the grass is always greener. Because how would it be to like being able to dispose more of my own time, to work from home more, and not being like subjected to all the kind of like specific demands that comes with having an employment and all the things as well. So it's there's no like one solution that will always fit you perfectly. It all really depends on a lot of different factors. Absolutely. But that was like a lot about me and my year, and we can go into specifics, what's happened in my business. But now you tell me something. How has your year been? Yeah, my year has been pretty interesting, I think. As just for backstory, if you haven't listened to all the podcast episodes, but maybe you should. My normal work situation these days and in the last couple of years has been that I have a steady daytime job, which is usually about 50%. Sometimes I go up to 60 or 70, depending on if I'm able to pick up more work. And I work in communication. I'm a former journalist, and before that I was a librarian. So information has been like a red thread in my professional life. But I have slowly and steadily tried to work myself on reducing the work hours at the day job, so that I could be able to at least sustain a part-time salary of running my own sewing business. And I've been able to take time off occasionally for a couple of months to just push things like writing a new book and and things like that. So yeah, I've had a few breaks from my day job situation, but I've never felt long term that I've been able to sustain myself full time just doing the sewing things, because it's not the, as we talked about, it's not perhaps the most how should I say, the money isn't flowing through. It's probably not a great way to get rich quick. It's probably one of the least great ways of doing that. And I mean, of course, there are a lot of businesses that are struggling, but sewing business is definitely not a big money-making scheme, even though there are a couple of successful companies. But yeah, and so I think for this year, as I've talked about previously, I've had, bouts of burnout, or maybe not like I've been able to work, but my motivation and my energy levels has been quite low. And I had this, I think even at the beginning of the new year, basically, I think I remember I woke up the day of the new year. I was visiting friends and I woke up in the bed and I was like, yeah, I feel ready to go now. And I haven't felt that like kick or motivation in several years, because it has been a struggle. And I've also had, private life stuff going on. I went to a separation. My last kid moved out from home, and, I moved houses or moved to a small apartment, and all that kind of stuff. It was a challenging year, and a pandemic, and yeah, it was just a lot. It wasn't my best. It wasn't my best years. I kept the last stitch going for sure, but I wasn't feeling like I was doing my best work with it. But I had such a great start of this year, and so I've had a pretty good year, actually. I've been able to keep my energy levels pretty decent, and I've also managed to find a pretty nice mix of social activities, and I've made several new friends even this year, and I feel like now I'm at a pretty good place. But my challenge has been mixing the day job with the with running the last stitch, and that's where the area where I get some stress and anxiety, because I always feel like I'm lacking in all areas. So I had a little bit of a should I say, mini crisis in the summer because I was so worn out, and I decided that I was gonna take the leap and ask for a 6-month leave to work on the last stitch full time. And just like you said, Malena, I had the buffer. I've been saving in my company, so I knew that I would be able to sustain myself for a full-time salary in my business for 6 months, even if I wasn't making a ton of new money. So I made that decision, and I began that in the beginning of October of this year, and so far it's been amazing. I feel like a whole new person. I feel like, except for the money part, because I still would need to make more money to be able to sustain myself full time after this 6 months period is over. I still feel like I'm on a really good trajectory right now, and I feel really, really good about the company and also my work life and then personal life balance.
That's amazing, and it's such a great thing for you to be able to do. Also, take 6 months leave, so you still can go back to your work. Then, if you want to, you have it's there, but you have this period of time now that you can just focus on your own things. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good part. And I feel, if I had not the option of being able to go back to my day job, and also usually I have opportunities to add work hours there, I would have been extremely stressed now, because then I would feel like, oh yeah, why haven't I made more monetary gains, and why haven't I been able to put out even more products and whatever. Now I feel like I'm just doing the best that I can, and then I will go back and try to figure something out again. It's going to be a challenge again, of course, with the stress thing, but at least I feel like I will be much more rested and hopefully have more energy to balance the two stuff.
But that's great. And one thing that you have mentioned along the podcast is the jeans sewing course that you have been wanting to work on, have had very much anxiety about starting to work on. How is it going now?
yeah. Because I think the first half of this podcast season or the spring season was mostly about me having anxiety about having to film and consistently postponing the filming of this jeans course because I knew it would be such a struggle. But then I had 2 weeks off my day job in the summer, and I decided that I would dedicate myself to just doing this. No fun. I mean, no fun. No like holiday stuff. I was just going to go to the studio every day for 14 days and film this course. And the fun thing is, it was actually quite enjoyable. It was very simplified existence because it was like living in a where you like scale back all distractions in your life. So I just had one thing I needed to do every day, and that was go to the studio, film a few steps, and then go home. Rest, maybe have some dinner, and then just sleep. And it was I sort of stepped into that bubble. And by the end of these 2 weeks, I was done filming the course.
Nice.
And and now, as we are recording this in early December, I have began editing the course, and I have, I think I'm only about 27 minutes in. It's going to be several hours. But yeah, I'm moving the needle, and I feel confident saying that in the beginning of the next year, maybe in February or March, I will be able to release this course, which has been like a dream project of mine for several years, and it's going to be a great companion piece to my book Sewing Jeans, because the course will allow the follower I can go much more into visual details and do a lot more like holistic explanations, thanks to both have the use of audio and video and graphics. So I feel like super proud of this course. It's going to be extremely detailed and very like easy to understand. So I'm really it takes me like several hours just to edit a few minutes because I'm working so hard with all the visuals and stuff, so that it's going to be easy to follow. So I feel, it's sometimes, you talk about stuff and all of a sudden they are actually happening. It just takes a lot longer than I always think.
But the amazing part, I think, is that you feel good about it. Like you feel you enjoy it while you are working with it. And I think that's like the most important part. Because if you wouldn't, I mean, that's the quickest way of burning out. Like, if you don't feel like working on it, that's the worst. But as long as you have a good feeling about it, that's amazing. Do you have any, not release date, but like a month when do you want it to be complete?
Yeah, I think I should release it either in February, March to take advantage of good sewing seasons. I mean, you have to. We run a business, you have to think about these things. I mean, in the summer it's going to be harder to release products, for sure. And then I usually see an uptick when it comes to sales in February and March, because it seems like a lot of people are getting back into sewing things actually after the holidays and maybe a slightly money strained January. It seems like people are open to investing in stuff and just going back to their hobbies. And so that's my goal. I'm going to work a little bit now over the holidays as well, and I think I will be finished in January with the entire course.
But that's not far ahead. Then you're
no, I know. Yeah,
a really good way.
Yeah, I feel really good about it. Yeah. So that's my like big chunk that I've been able to start like slowly working myself through. And again, there's probably reference the saying, it's credited to everyone, I guess, except Einstein maybe, is that you often overestimate how much you can do in a week, and you often underestimate how much you can accomplish in a month or a year. And I think that's what this episode is definitely going to be a testament to, because we both had lots of ideas in the beginning of the year, and it's kind of interesting because when we talked about before recording, we have kind of moved the needle on everything that we actually plan to do, which is kind of fascinating because sometimes it doesn't feel like we're moving much, but because you, Malena, you hit several different targets and ambitions in this year, right? So you want to go. You want to talk about those things? Yeah,
definitely. No, in the beginning of the year, I think it was like February, March. There were like almost 2 months, like I think 7 weeks or something, when I didn't have freelance work. that I mean, then and I knew freelance work was coming. I was already booked, so again I had that like, you know, calmness within me that work is gonna come, no problem. So yeah, then I focused really just on my own pattern business, and well, first I rebranded. Before my name was Pattern by Malena, but I changed it to be Hazelhen Patterns. And I think we started a podcast together.
Yeah, we did. That was your idea. Yeah.
And that has been amazing. And I think it was second or third episode or something that we talked about newsletters, because I had this idea that maybe I can just start a newsletter and I don't have to have a website. But then you like shattered my illusions. I was like, yeah, but in the newsletter you often link to the blog post that you have written on your website. And I was like, damn it. So yeah, then I had to create a website. It's very, very simple, but it's done, it's there, it's working. I don't have Shopify, I still sell everything on Etsy, but it's like linked to my Etsy shop. So it's still like, it's a proper website. So that I'm happy about. Because yeah, I wanted to start a newsletter, because that's a channel that you control yourself. Instagram, you never know about the algorithm, how many people are actually seeing you, and also Instagram. I mean, it's a social platform. People are there to be social, but I want to have also a more business way of communicating with customers. So that's why I wanted to have a newsletter. So yeah, I can't say I'm an active newsletter writer, but there has been a few since at least. And I mean, the funny thing is also, if we are talking about numbers, I've had my Instagram for, well, it must be 6 years now, and I have almost 1,800 followers, not really, but almost, during 6 years. And now, not even for 1 year, I have had my newsletter, and I have almost 1,200 subscribers to the newsletter. So I mean, just to show like how quick you can grow your newsletter list compared to how much you can grow on your Instagram. And I mean, I haven't actively been working basically at all on Instagram. Basically everything that I post on Instagram now is basically what we are sharing with the podcast. So I mean, I haven't been actively working to get new followers or like serving my current viewers there. But yeah, and also like the reason why I have gotten so many subscribers to the newsletter is that I made a free pattern Malva tee that you get when you sign up for my newsletter, because I wanted to have some not goodie bag, what do you call them, freebie, like freebie, like to get in more customers, like, here, try this one out, see what my brand is about, see how I write the instructions, how I create the patterns, see if you like it, basically, and then hopefully I will get them as a customer in the future then. So it was a little bit of a like investment that I want to give this out for free, and I mean, hopefully people will see and like what I do then, because I mean, there are so many PDF designers today, and I mean, you have no idea if it's good, if it's bad, if it's the level of the product. So that's what I want to like show, basically, customer that this is me, this is how I create my stuff. So during those kind of weeks in the beginning of the year, I got a lot of things done, but that was because I wasn't working full time on my freelance work. Then I started freelance working again full time, basically, and everything for my own company has been put on hold again.
Yeah, but that's so understandable, and you were so extremely focused and productive in the beginning of the year, and you still managed to do things. I mean, we have the thing that we hopefully will be able to announce soon as well on the podcast. You have been working on a secret project that will materialize in the next year, And we should also say that which we mentioned previously, we are making another book about how to sew t-shirts with patterns, and you have already done all the patterns and the grading, so I don't know how.
Okay, yeah, it's not paused, but yeah.
Yeah, because Malena is one of the most effective people I've ever met, and that's why I love so much being a partner with you, because you really make things happen. There is like when you put your mind to it, you have an extremely efficient workflow, which continuously amazes me. So I definitely think that you should pat yourself on the back, because you have achieved many things, even though, and also we've done this podcast every single week, almost, right? For during the work year. Which is no small feat either, because that also, requires both our times and, a little bit of prep work and of course all the other stuff, like maintaining our Instagram account and publishing, and we have to do things, not just recording. So and we've been able to consistently put out content every week, which I think is something that a lot of people struggle with, and we have actually managed to do that. So I think we should also celebrate ourselves that we've been able to show up here every week and record a video podcast, no less.
No, definitely. And the things that are in common with all these things that I still have been able to do outside of my, like when I work 100% with freelance projects, is that I have a deadline, and I'm working with somebody else. Like there is somebody else, not expecting, but like, it's a project together with somebody else. No problem to deliver then. But when it's your own things that don't have really a deadline, doesn't really matter. Like, then it's furthest back in the work to-do list queue. But I mean, that's, again, I could make a deadline for my own next PDF pattern, the bilberry top that I have been working on for, the idea, I shared that like 3 or 4 almost years ago now. But if I did this kind of same thing with everything, then I would burn myself out. So that's like, it's not a sustainable way of working with every single project. So choose wisely is my recommendation. Then if you want to go like, have certain push in your work, but then you can't do it like that for everything. So yeah, but a few things have
happened. Yeah, definitely. And we should also talk a little bit about the podcast, because I have some numbers. First of all, we also started a YouTube channel for the podcast as well, so you can of course watch the video version, and we have over 300 subscribers, and thank you so much for subscribing to our video channel. And I think we are probably one of the few video sewing podcasts. Please correct us if I'm wrong, because I don't know for certain, but I know that a lot of the popular sewing casts are still, audio primarily, but we release a video version every week. So if you want to check out how we look and also see some stuff that we show on screen, you should definitely subscribe to Stitching Talespod on YouTube, where you can find the video version of this podcast. And also another thing, because we get quite a few listeners actually. We're a little bit surprised about that, but on average, each episode is listened to by about 270 times, which I think is pretty awesome, because we're not really promoting as much, or we are definitely not like a big names in the business. But that's really interesting to see. And also Spotify has Wrapped for creators as well, not just for us listening to music and stuff. And I think someone listened to us in 34 or 35 countries this year, which I think is pretty exciting. Wow. Yeah, that's so cool. And it's also interesting because the top country, I think it's around 44% of our listeners is actually located in the States, which I also think is super cool, because in case you're wondering about our interesting accents, it's because we are based in Sweden and Malena is from Finland originally. So we are just, English is not our first language, even though we do speak it a lot professionally. So that's really cool to think that, the English-speaking countries are... yeah, I think UK, Australia and Canada is also in the top sector. So it's nice to feel that we can also resonate to people like that. So we're very, very grateful to each and everyone that are listening to our podcast. We definitely know you have so many podcasts to choose from, so that you want to hear us talk about, sewing and also a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. That's very, very, we are very, very grateful for that. I feel it's amazing because, you know, you have no ideas. You have to take, like, every listener is a blessing. You cannot take anything for granted. It's really, really hard to reach a podcast audience because it's not really searchable. Someone has to, like, find you, or you have to reach someone in other channels. So to me, that, you know, an average on 270 people are listening to each and every episode, and some episodes we have over 700 listens to. That completely blows my mind.
That's the thing. I don't really want to think about it because, I mean, we have a very candid podcast. I mean, we don't have a manuscript. I mean, we talk a little bit before we start recording about, like, what to bring up and topics and those kind of things. But it's just us talking, and I get stage fright if I'm thinking about, you know, how many people are actually listening. So this is just a chat between us, and I'm so obviously grateful also as well that other wants to join in and listen. But I want to keep it at that level. It's just a chat between us two.
yeah, definitely. And we definitely agreed on that format to start with. I mean, there are also lots of sewing podcasts that do a fantastic job with doing more like in-depth research stuff and have guests on.
And cutting and everything.
And we just wanted, as you say, we want to keep the format casual, and, you know, because the idea that you had basically was just to keep on the conversation that we still had when we wrote our first book, Fit for Knits, together, you know, the Skype sessions that we had, and this is basically just a continuation of that, and so that's which makes it even more cool that you want to listen to like friends talking about their sewing and business life, and sometimes a little bit personal stuff as well. So that's very, very, you know, it's very touching, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love this format also because I was really sad when I think I shared this in the podcast, that really sad that when we were not writing the book, it was like, but are we not going to have our catch-ups anymore then? Are we not going to talk every week? Well, like, how? No, we have to find out a new project so we can talk every single week. Yeah. So, I mean, the podcast was just like, well, that's a great excuse, so to say, air quotes now, to continue talking. So it's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I always look forward to this. It never feels like work to me. To me, it feels extremely like, I mean, compared to, say, YouTube, which is something I've done a lot, that is always a strenuous affair, and it's quite like taxing. With the pod, it's just pure joy. And I think also it's because we do this together, and it's a fairly easy thing to do, even though, of course, we always try to create really good content. It's still not like a cumbersome production that way, and we like to keep it that way. You say, Malena, this is that kind of podcast, and I think, you know, it's good to have a mix. I know that some of you really appreciate the well-researched, like well-produced stuff, and, you know, sometimes you just want to hear two people chat about sewing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are that alternative for you.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of YouTube, I mean, you have an amazing YouTube channel on The Last Stitch. How is it going? You have had a goal inside. How is it? How are you doing now?
Yeah, this is kind of amazing and a little bit mind-blowing, because I've talked about this, I think, early in the year, that I was doing a push for YouTube again, because I wanted to reach 100,000 subscribers, because if you do that, YouTube gifts you a silver play button, and I was kind of scared that they would move the goalpost for that, because there are so many YouTube channels right now. So 100,000 subscribers is a massive number. Trust me, I've been doing this for 9 years, so this was not a short climb, but still I was worried about that. So I'm gonna do a push, and then of course I did, and that worked well. But then I got sidetracked again, like I always do. So I didn't post any videos on YouTube now for over 6 months. But the subscribers has been ticking, and just the other week I checked the numbers, and I'm like 60 subscribers, or I mean, no, it's like. There's I think it's 60. Yeah, so I'm gonna reach this goal before the end of 2024, which is like mind-blowing. But then I read the fine print yesterday, because I was so psyched about this, because I can assure you, I will definitely hold up this silver play button on the podcast. This is where I'm going to brag. Apologies beforehand, but this is huge for me. Then I read the fine print and realized that I do qualify for everything except one thing, that I haven't posted a YouTube video for the last 6 months because, as you say, so now as soon as my voice is getting back to shape here, after the call, I will record an episode, and I'm actually going to do it's going to be a variation of something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is buttons, so sewing buttonholes, because I've done a video about that many years ago, but I thought I was going to do a refresh, and I think that we brought up some really good points as well, so I'm just going to do like a visual companion piece to that episode that I think will be really fun and helpful.
Cool. So close. And good that you read the fine print. So
I know, because
that they have these kind of things that like, come on, you have to do this and that, and then otherwise no. Like, good that you kept that you read that, so you're on top of it. But and also a good motivation to actually post something on YouTube.
Again, speaking of deadlines, Malena, now I have my deadline. I need to figure this out. I have about a week before I will hit the target of 100,000 subscribers. So I need to make sure that I have a video out. If not, I might just throw in a video podcast on that channel. Who knows? Just to get the numbers out. So I have a backup plan. I will say that, because if I'm like completely down with this cold for weeks and my voice is absolutely shot, I will just post one of my videos on my regular channel, one of the more popular ones. So there is a backup plan. I will say that.
Oh, but that's and you also have released some other things this year.
Yeah, I have. I've actually managed to release a sewing pattern, which doesn't happen every year. If the last time I did was in spring of 2022. Yeah, I've released my 4th garment pattern, the Vide knit pants, and I'm happy to say that it's been quite a success. Now, success in quotation marks now, because I'm not like quitting my day job, but I've sold, I think, about 140 pairs, pieces of the pattern, which is pretty good, I would say, for my, because my books is probably my main business leg, not my sewing patterns. So thank you to everyone who's bought the Vide pants. I mean, wow. And I love them. I'm wearing them pretty much every day myself now, and I'm wearing a wool version now because it's minus Celsius degrees here in Gothenburg today. And so it's one of the things where I realized that I definitely made the pants for myself because I've not been wearing anything else since I released the pattern, because if you're not familiar with the Vide pants, it's like a dress pants, but it's made for knit fabrics, like stable knit fabrics. So it looks kind of dressy, but it's so comfortable. It's like wearing a pair of track pants. And I'm so happy to say that even though I haven't released the pattern in 2.5 years, that I actually managed to do something that resonated with a lot of people. So thank you, everyone, because that's like, I had no idea, because you never know what to expect when you're doing a comeback like that, many years later. I mean, because honestly, there's just the likelihood of you selling 10 sewing patterns. That's a reality, I think, for a lot of us small sewing business, that you have to be grateful if you're like two digits in sales. I mean, there's, as Malena says, there are so many pattern companies to choose from and so many variation of the same pattern, so it's very, very hard to reach a larger audience unless you're a really well-known brand with a huge following.
Yeah, but that's so nice. And it's been a while since you have made a PDF pattern, which is understandable. A book came and took all your time, so totally understandable.
And I worked full time for specific times as well during this last couple of years. Yeah,
but it's good to do it like every now and then, just to also like for yourself to be like, how should I work in an efficient way, and like working method and those kind of things, so you don't, if you do it again in 4 years, I mean, you will forget basically, and you have to re-figure out everything, like how was I doing these kind of different steps. So it's good to do it every now and then. And how many just on your mental to-do list, how many new patterns are you like designing?
Yeah, so many, but I think, from a business standpoint, I definitely need to bite the jeans sewing pattern, Apple, because I should also say that
sense.
Yeah, it would make so. Yeah, I thank you, and I agree with you. I think because I can tack stuff on. I mean, I both have a book about sewing jeans, and I will have a course about sewing jeans, and one way to like make like clever business sense is to add on. So, for instance, if you buy my cover stitch course, which I have, a cover stitch success, you can get the ebook as a bundle. So it just adds more value. I mean, so that's like a way for me as well to add more sales to an existing product, and so that's if I can bundle this up, and of course I have brand recognition within that specific space, but developing a jeans pattern is definitely a bigger task to take on than say doing something with knits, because we have so much more fitting issues and the grading and everything like that. So, and I will need to get professional help with that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to do it all myself for sure. And also, of course, settle on a style that I feel has longevity. I mean, that's the struggle as well. You if you release a sewing pattern, you want it to be able to have consistent sales over many years. So I'm definitely leaning towards making straight leg jeans, like a classic straight leg jeans, which with a waist that is slightly not high waist, but slightly below, and just to make the kind of classic style. So that's probably my ambition.
And you basically have the pattern already. I mean, paper pattern for that.
I have the paper pattern, yeah. So that's basically based on my base style that I do over and over again, and I haven't gotten tired of it for over 10 years. So hopefully other people will also view it as a classic. That's where I'm entering. I'm not gonna do like skinny jeans or flare jeans or those bow legs jeans that are so popular now with round side shape. I will not venture into the trendy stuff. I will keep myself to the classic things that I feel is.
No, I mean the perfect thing would be to release that classic, and again, I mean, when you have the great fit for a trouser, for a straight leg trouser, you can do all those trendy adjustments yourself, because finding the great fit at the waist, crotch balance, like everything like there, that's the difficult part. The legs, I mean, those are quite easy to adjust yourself based on trend, but it's finding that fit on top, like the upper part of the trouser. That's the tricky part. So I mean, to make a pattern and here are 10 different variations that you can adjust the pattern yourself, like those kind of things that I want to do in the future. Like I have the t-shirt, the Hazelhen tee. How I would love to release here are 10 different pattern hacks that you can do with this pattern yourself, when you have now you have a base fit that is great for your body. Now you can change it up and do these design in the future. So going classic is it's a good thing for you. And I wish I could help you with the grading, but I'm not an expert when it comes to denim grading, so I don't dare to take on that project.
No, you always knows your skills and your limitations, I think, and that's also what we talked about. Running your own business. I am not sitting here pretending that I will be able to pull this project off myself. Instead, I'm going to enlist the help of people that are professionally skilled in this to ensure that the quality is up to par. I mean, that's the way of doing your business professionally. I mean, not trying to do everything yourself. There are certain things you really should always use help for, and I will be one of those people when I'm making jeans. So I'm really looking forward. It's going to be very interesting to collaborate with someone new as well. I mean, we have done a lot of collaborations, so that's going to be interesting as well to see what comes of that. But that's in the future, of course. So I mean, after the jeans course is done, I will start working on the book that we're going to do in the next year. So that's why I also want to really get done with the jeans course now. So I have at least 3 months of my leave of absence to work on the book as well, so I can get some really traction on that too. So Yeah, but it's fun to say that, you know, things are happening, even though sometimes I feel a little bit like everything is so slow, you know, and it's hard to make substantial financial gains running this business. That's probably the biggest struggle. I mean, every time I release something, I feel like I'm moving the needle just a couple of millimeters, basically, you know, in terms of financial security. But over time, it kind of accumulates in order. I always see my business as a recording artist. Like, of course, you struggle in the beginning, but after a while, you build up this gigantic, hopefully, back catalog of released songs and released albums. And even though not everyone will be a hit over time, you know, you get the kind of like passive income that we talk about. And that's kind of where I feel about my stuff as well, like my books and my sewing patterns and my courses and all the other content that I have. That's my back catalog, and I'm trying to reach, you know, a critical mass of that back catalog.
Yeah, that is so sensible way of thinking. And I mean, once you are done it, it's scalable basically, because you don't have to reproduce the books when you sell it in the future. It's there already. You have done the work. It's just you know, marketing that we have been talking so much about in this podcast. Like
our mutual struggle.
Yeah, our not favorite thing to do.
No, but it's good to think about that sometimes, you know, that, but if we were, you know, had the, like the energy or the motivation, everything like that to really go all in on marketing and do that cleverly, we could actually grow our brands. So in a way, I think it's nice to feel like there are some stones that we haven't turned in our businesses, which I think is kind of exciting to think about, you know, that that's like the next, the way you managed to do with the Malva tea, you managed to expand your audience, and those are the, you know, the secrets to success as well. It's not just churning out products, it's expanding your audience. And if you're able to do that, you know, that's very scalable. Sure.
I also like, I want to have, as you say, a back catalog, like a solid foundation of my own products. And then maybe when I feel like, okay, I'm never going to feel like this, but when I feel like, okay, now I have a solid collection, now I can just focus on marketing and talking about them. I actually have things to sell now that I can talk about. I haven't really felt like that yet. Like, I want to have more products that I'm able to sell before I really start to do a push for the marketing. I mean, I have a vision that, wouldn't it be nice to like, don't do anything for a year and just focusing on marketing. Again, we'll never do that, but it would be nice. I mean, I think that would be a smart thing to do. Like, and also, I mean, I mentioned her lots before, Jenna Kutcher. She has said several times now in her podcast that I haven't released a new thing in the last 4 years or something. I'm still selling those existing products, like her courses and everything that she already has, because she has worked up to, you know, she has those things in her collection now that she can sell. So she is basically just talking about the things she already has. And I mean, that's great, because it takes a lot of time to develop new things. So doing the marketing for it is also so important.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think the reason why we're not doing more marketing is not really that we don't feel like we have enough products. It's because we feel uncomfortable, like really doing the marketing. And if we ever get over that hurdle, I think, you know, we're going to be really, really... like seeing the results of that. So, but in a way, I feel like I'm kind of like you said, I mean, I'm kind of saving up the energy, and then I might actually do more of that, because I feel now that that will be, as you say, the fastest way of actually, as we talked about financials now, that I feel like I would like to make more money, basically, and if that's probably, you know, expanding my audience and reaching more people, and with better marketing, I think, you know, I could actually, that would be probably the quickest way for me to actually expand my, like, or increase my revenue, for sure. Yeah,
it's one of those things that you know what you need to do, but to actually do it, no, you want to create new stuff, because that's the fun part. We're definitely those kind of people, like the producers, rather than the one that doing all the outreach stuff. I guess that's why it's good to have sometimes a business partner,
to have that other person maybe tap in more into that energy and do the selling stuff. So I think hats off to everyone in the sewing business that managed to both churn out products and grow a business and do well marketing or do well recruitment in the marketing department, because it's very easy that one of those things will kind of fall between the cracks because you are just one person and it's hard to wear all the hats at the same time, so you tend to focus on the one where you feel the most comfortable, and both you and I, we love to create stuff that's like that's our happy zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right then. Yeah, well, we talked about almost over an hour now about the kind of things that has been going on. Do you have you forgotten anything, Malena, or are we?
I think we mentioned all the big stuff. And maybe if you're watching the video, you can also realize I live up north in Sweden. It's getting dark.
Yeah.
I'm sitting by the window, but it's like, now the sun is setting and it's like 20 minutes past 2. So the daylight is gone.
Yeah, you're definitely, because you started out with quite a bright situation there.
A decent
and
light.
Now
not a
decent light. Yeah, decent. I wouldn't say good, no. But, Malena is also investing in herself. So next year, stay tuned. You definitely want to watch the video version now, because Malena is going to get a glow up, literally.
Yeah, I bought a lamp. I haven't received it yet. I'm so excited to see if it's... I fell for the advertisement. I did a spontaneous buy. I've been thinking about it for several years. Now I actually did it, so we'll see if it was worth the money. Yeah, I think so. Light is everything. It's very difficult with video otherwise. So, but it's also interesting. I think if you watch the videoverse, you can really see the reality of living in Sweden, in the north of Sweden, in the wintertime. Oh, how fast things can change. And we also, for reference, recording this podcast between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's almost pitch black where Malena is sitting. That's how it is like living in Sweden in the winter. Yeah, and we have no snow at the moment. It's so sad. Then everything gets so much brighter and happier. So we'll hope for some snow now for the holiday season. Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to this recap. And again, we want to say a big thank you to all of you that has tuned in to Stitching Tales in 2024. We are going to take a little bit of a holiday break now, because Tuesdays happens to be both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, so which we normally release episodes. So we thought it would be a good idea to take a little bit of a break then and come back in full force in 2025. And then of course we're going to do maybe look a bit forward like we did this year and see what kind of things we plan or are hoping or maybe aspiring to do at least in the new year. So yeah, thank you again for listening to Stitching Tales Pod, all of you from all over the world. We love that you tune in to us every week. We feel very, very blessed.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a joy, and we are so happy that you joined us here.
Yeah. So anyways, I am Johanna Lundström,
and I am Malena
thank
Hjerpe.
you so much.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to end with a blooper.
Yeah, we're going to end with a blooper. That's okay. There's so many moving parts. Malena's disappearing in the dark and I'm disappearing into the cold. So we're both, fading away
now.
Slowly. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.